So I remember talking about this political cycle before. What do they say? Presidents, there's been 2 terms of a conservative and 2 terms of a Democratic president. Are we as a people kind of shifting between the 2 parties, or is it just who shows up to the polls?
It's actually very rational. A party comes in. Why do they come in? Because they have issues that the other party's neglecting. And the other party is starting to get too far in one direction. And so
you think maybe that fire drill response is a rational response?
No,
you see Trump go too far, it's going to get Democrats out there and vice versa.
The fire drill really is problematic because it's growing and it's growing too much in importance. It's only supposed to be a variable. And I think that it's too one-dimensional. Like what I'm saying is they're not considering other things. This point in time now, Democrats could get their fire drill out. And what they could find out is that the numbers of certain groups, those voting ratios may not be what they exactly expect. They think that in Texas, for example, if more Latinos vote, that there'll be a certain outcome. They may find that these employment rates, the status of the economy, a 2.5% growth economy, and the other things that Trump is doing, they may be surprised that they don't get the ratios, the arithmetics that they're thinking they're going to get out of that. So just turning out people is a little too one-dimensional, like your people. That's where the fire drill model is based on. The Democrats have to get their people out. We have to get our people out. Sometimes that doesn't work because there is a policy market out there that also is playing into it. And this is, if you look at the number of independents, if Gallup poll does a poll and they call people and they say, what is your party affiliation? Do you affiliate Democrat or do you affiliate Republican? Now, in the time period which we live, that number is very high. The independents are 45%. It's the modal category. And so because of that, there's a lot of the public that does not have an ideological posture to begin with. They kind of are a little bit independent. So those voters might go for Obama during the Great Recession, and then they come over to Trump until they get tired of that, and it'll be something else. So I would argue to you the time period that we live right now is a little bit of a rambunctious period. I think it's wrong to say there's a shift to the right as if it's orthodox conservative. I think it's rambunctious. And that's why Trump has survived. Trump was able to capitalize in a political marketplace that came rambunctious. So also was Bernie Sanders. The same rambunctious conditions are what allowed both of those people to have some degree of success. The other thing to mention is when parties are in power, they have an issue set, okay? And that'll be the issues that they're prioritizing and working on. But they'll be neglecting other issues. One of the things that Trump did, and this is very normal, is he had policy success because the people in power couldn't see that the market wanted a neglected set of issues. What were the neglected set of issues? The border wall. Nobody thought that was even an issue. If you would have talked to me about the border wall before the Trump election, I would what's a big deal? Who cares about it? Okay, so fine, that's my opinion. I don't actually worry about the border. But what we find is that the policy market, that was selling. And so that was selling. So that now is an issue think of it as a market. You can't sit there and not service that market. You've got to come up with a policy product and service it because you weren't servicing it before, and because it was neglected, the other party is able to capitalize. Same way with China, the trade agreement. Trump's changed that narrative. Democrats would be stupid not to adjust to that policy market, not to adjust to that change. So what you have is parties out of power capitalizing on neglected issue set. That's a dynamic that always happens. Once Trump continues to be in there, if they continue to be in there, what's the neglected set that Democrats are going to go for? Hey, where's the student loan relief? What's going on with the healthcare is not getting any cheaper? There's those sorts of Democrat issues regarding wanting to help with college and that's kind of now a neglected set. And so as that continues to be neglected, it'll be an opportunity for the party out of power. There's always a neglected issue set that the other party, something of it is like a marketplace. They're trying to sell something, and the market kind of will grow for that particular thing, and the party in power will get clipped by that. They won't see it.
Because it's neglected. And that might be some of why we see Senator Bernie Sanders taking some of the leads in the current, not only polls, but his actual Democratic primaries. He's ahead in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Which might be reminiscent of some of that. Yeah, what about the student loans? Well, here's my solution. Yeah. And people listen to that because it's a neglected piece.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe that contributes to that political cycle that you talk about.
Yes, that is it. That is it exactly. And remember, the political cycle that we're talking about is really only for president, because what happens is when a president comes in, usually what is there underneath him or her is divided government. Whenever Americans see one party, Democrats or Republicans, controlling president, the House, and the Senate, they get ready in the next election to start throwing people out. They generally don't want government by one of the parties. You are usually going to have to deal with having an opposition party somewhere in one of the houses.
Right.
I
Like
mean,
Wittgenstein says, you have to get comfortable with your rival kind of thing.
well, that's not Wittgensteinian. Let me explain that. That's compromise. Okay, so let me tell you what the difference is. I'm going to give in to you, and you're going to give in to me. Not that we're going to understand each other, but I'm going to give in to you, and you're going to give in to me. Why? I can't get anything else. That's stalemate. That's politics,
Yeah.
Stalemate, check and balance. There's no what Wittgenstein's talking about. Wittgenstein is talking about, in your intellectual belief, realizing and understanding the rival. You want to understand the way you think and put things together, and the way anything is thought and put things together, to see the various ways it can be thought and put together, what for what purpose, so that now you are more comprehensive and can have a greater
Now you have an
way of
elevated.
seeing.
I see. So Wittgenstein is more about actually understanding the other points of views, even if you don't agree with them, actually understanding where they're coming from, whereas
Yeah.
politics is, I know I'm going to block this unless we come to some kind of agreement. Yeah, that's actual politics.